What is this? Hey, Zach. Alyssa, hello.
Whoa.
What is this?
Wow, it's like you're in the
Wow.
airport. It's like you're in the airport.
Wow.
Hi.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Great.
Wow.
Wow.
Even though you first stepped foot on campus for your freshman year at Liberty in 1977, just 6 years after the school was founded, your legacy here really began in 1990 when you returned to LU as the assistant band director. In the early 90s, we practiced in the swamp with all the mosquitoes and gnats, and everyone smelled like bug spray. Some of those instrument cases probably still smell like mud and bug spray. Then practice moved to the parking lot near the Rot. After that, we moved to the Erickson parking lot, now Green Hall. We even had to move a few cars that were in our way. Then we moved across the interstate to practice in the parking lot on East Campus. Spray paint indeed was our friend for the officers and section leaders to spray paint everyone's dots. We finally found our permanent home back on main campus by the softball fields. Finally, we had grass to march on instead of concrete. A field to call our own. Well, we did have to share it with the occasional frisbee game or dorm room game night, but it was still mostly ours. And finally, the band field was actually a field. Then they even added lights. We could see after dark and continue practices later than before. We really thought we had it made then. But then, they decided to cut down all the trees that gave us shade on hot summer days and blocked all the noise from the interstate. They did add a nice parking lot for our semi-truck in place of the trees and another parking lot where the softball field once stood. But we still missed the shade and the privacy. Every year, the landscaping department tries to do better with adding drains and sand and re-sowing the grass. But every year, it seems there's always a permanent puddle for the front ensemble to stand in, and a muddy square right on the 50-yard line. Officers and section leaders used pegs, orange cones, and ropes to peg all the important sets for many years. Then we switched to each marcher pegging their own sets, which made the student leadership very happy. There's also the sprinkler system that went off during our last night of band camp right after the lights turned off on us. Sprinklers are nice to water the grass, but water doesn't mix well with marimbas and xylophones. It isn't perfect, but it's ours and feels like home. We have performed in many different stadiums and locations all over the country, but even our home stadium has changed quite a bit in 32 years. They added a huge press box to the home side and then added a second level to the student side. Gates and arches and turf and a new FOC building came next. We even had to perform the first game in 2010 at City Stadium because our home stadium wasn't quite done yet. We moved from the corner of the student side to the temporary bleachers at field level that soon became our permanent seats for the game. Then we took over the entire top deck of the student side for the 2020 season, spread 10 feet apart and not allowed on the field. We've had years where we entered the field going down the hill on the east side of the stadium, then we entered across the bridge from the west side of the stadium. Williams Stadium has been totally transformed to hold 20,000 people in the audience when construction was finally finished. We have come a long way since that one-level grass field that you performed on in 1977. For band rooms, we started in the one-level building that was later connected to DeMoss with our Spirit of the Mountain logo painted on the wall. When we got too large for the first room, we were moved into the old Tower Theater when it was moved to its current grand location in Green Hall. We signed the wall before they demolished that building, and then our home was by the field for a year in an old dorm building while they built the magnificent School of Music building that we have now. That building is a symbol of all the ways that God has blessed Liberty University and all the ways He has used you to grow and develop many different ensembles here. You have left your mark on this campus just like it has left its mark on you. As you take your honored tour around this beautiful campus, I'm sure memories in all of these locations are coming to mind. Even though many of these places don't look anything like they used to, The beautiful campus has been built on a legacy of greatness and excellence formed by every person who has attended classes or worked on this mountain. You have spent half of your life pouring yourself into the students on this campus. Your career has been spent almost entirely at 1971 University Boulevard. But we know that coming to campus doesn't feel like coming to work. You feel at home here, around these beautiful brick buildings and green shade trees. We know that this place will always hold a special place in your heart, just as it does in all of ours. You have conducted us in venues all over the country at so many prestigious and exciting events. Here are just a few for you to remember. Football games at Delaware State University, Appalachian State University, Gardner-Webb University, Virginia Tech, James Madison University, Wake Forest University, University of Virginia, and Coastal Carolina University. Performing on Main Street in Disney World, at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, and Miami Bayside. At a New York Giants game in New York City, outside of the Dixie Stampede in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. At Jacksonville Landing in Jacksonville, Florida, and the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. At 3 different CBDNA conferences, at the VMEA conference in Norfolk, Virginia, and at 2 NCAA bowl games in Orlando, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama. You've conducted concerts in Illinois, Missouri, Ohio, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Michigan, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Vermont. 32 Spirit of the Mountain field shows. 1990, Rhapsody in Blue. 1991, Les Miserables. 1992, La Suerte and Mambo and Samba de Rollins. 1993, Swing Kids and the Spirit of a New Nation. 1994, the music of Harry Connick Jr. and Lion King. 1995, 1996. Well, we're going to call these shows the ones we all forgot, because not one alumni or staff member we could find remembers what the field shows were called for these 2 years. 1997, Soul Show. 1998, Jazzin'. 1999, Jump, Jive, and Well. 2000, West Side Story. 2001, Millennium Celebration. 2002, River Dance. 2003, Big Bad and Blue. 2004, Sketches of New York. 2005, Made in America. 2006, Let the Music Move Your Feet. 2007, Rhythms of the World. 2008, Director's Cut, Music from the Movies. 2009, Red Hot and Blues. 2010, I Shuffle. 2011, Behind the Mask. 2012, Just the Way You Are. 2013, Rock of Ages. 2014, Kaleidoscope. 2015, Light Up the Night. 2016, On Fire. 2017, Feeling Good. 2018, I Got Rhythm. 2019, Take Me Home. 2020, Everlasting. And 2021, Sunny with a Chance. We fondly remember things like the infamous Miami Zoo concert where the Monkees wanted to have a section feature. The year Stewart dropped the tuba while dotting the I at the pregame performance. The year the band was attacked after a football game and you ended up on the bottom of the dog pile. The year the guard spun fire on the field. The year the NYPD stopped us because they thought we were robbing the church in Harlem. The time Luke flew you down to South Carolina in a private plane through a hurricane so you could attend Stephanie's senior night and still attend the Coastal Carolina game. The Q-tips that the freshman band members had to carry everywhere with them in the early 90s. The year we had to order new band shirts in the middle of the season because they were too close to Coastal Carolina colors. The year we learned a new drill for one football game so Josh Detweiler could propose to Sydney in the middle of the field. The time you floated through the band like Superman at a football game. The time you introduced baby Stephanie to the wind ensemble and held her up like Simba on Pride Rock. So many priceless memories shared with so many people over the years. You have built a program that is rich in tradition and nostalgia. Songs like Be Thou My Vision, Our God Reigns, and Havanu Shalom Aleichem mean so much to many people because of what those songs meant to us during our time at Liberty. Phrases like, sell the chicken, they will throw babies on the field, just the coolest thing. Move over just a skosh. I love band. It's a great day for marching band and everyone's favorite, it's Friday night. These sayings bring a flood of memories filled with laughter and maybe a few tears because of their connection to the Liberty University band programs. Traditions like marching through the back hallway of DeMoss to the courtyard and circling around the fountain after games, warming up at the back of the Hancock Welcome Center, along with special events like the annual Christmas banquet, the Hawaiian Luau, Wind Symphony Spring Soiree, Hayfest, putt-putt golf and games, and so much more make band at Liberty University more than just a class or an ensemble. We are a family. You have taught thousands of students and worked with hundreds of staff members over your 40 years as a band director. God has used you in more ways than you will ever know, and I know that as He watches you reach this retirement milestone, He is smiling and saying, well done. This is the voice of Mike McCain, Dr. Kerr, or as you like to call me, Michael Chase. I just want to congratulate you on your retirement, and I hope to see you around on campus or at a football game sometime in the future. Congratulations and well done.
And I'll take with me the memories to be my sunshine after the rain.
Thank you.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Nope. That button.
Hey, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, there's more people that know this.
We recognized you for a second. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
He's got his friend with him. I love it. What's his name?
His name is Ghost.
Ghost.
Yes. Ball Python.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
But I want to say I appreciate you. Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
everything
you very
you've done.
much.
Even though you weren't my professor, but appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
But we did a thing with the football team later on in the season.
Hello, band family, and welcome back to our beautiful campus. We are here to celebrate today a man that we all know and love, Dr. Stephen Kerr. Dr. Kerr has dedicated most of his career to serving students at Liberty University for the past 32 years. He has served as the Director of Bands and Professor of Music, Chair of the Department of University Bands, Director of the Wind Symphony, Director of the Spirit of the Mountain Marching Band, Director of the Liberty University Jazz Ensemble, Director of the Liberty University Spirit Band, as well as having an administrative leadership role in the University Band and Liberty University Indoor Drumline. He has also taught instrumental conducting, private trumpet, and marching band technique. Dr. Kerr actually attended Liberty University from 1977 to 1982. It was during this time that he actually learned to march, since he didn't have a high school marching band. He also studied principal trumpet for the Roanoke Symphony with the person from the Roanoke Symphony, Alan Bachelder, and Dr. Edward Bach, trumpet instructor at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Dr. Kerr studied conducting with Dr. James Glazebrook at Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, and Dr. John Locke at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. He periodically serves as a band clinician and adjudicator in the Mid-Atlantic region, and Dr. Kerr is an active member of the College Band Directors National Association, the National Band Association, the Conductors Guild, the World Association for Symphonic Bands and Ensembles, and the National Association for Music Education. Dr. Kerr has been selected by Who's Who among America's teachers for consecutive editions since 2000. He won the LU Faculty Recruiter of the Year Award in 2001 and the Servant's Heart Award in 1998. He has produced 20 albums with the LU Wind Symphony, 19 marching band recording albums, and 10 albums with the Jazz Ensemble. The Liberty University Wind Symphony has demonstrated acclaimed performance levels, including performances at the 2018, 2012, and 2016 College Band Directors National Association Southern Division Conferences by peer-reviewed invitation. The Wind Symphony has also performed at the VMEA Conference in 2021. Under Dr. Kerr's direction, the Liberty University Wind Symphony has toured from Maine to Miami and as far west as St. Louis, Missouri. Dr. Kerr also performs periodically in the Lynchburg area and weekly as the principal trumpet for the Thomas Road Baptist Church Orchestra. Dr. Kerr is the husband and soulmate of Martha Kerr, father to Michael Kerr and Stephanie Knight, and father-in-law to Kelsey Kerr and Macon Knight. We are here to celebrate the legacy that he has left here on this mountain and in all of our hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, Dr. Stephen Kerr.
Good times have made us laugh, outweigh the bad. I thought we'd get to see forever, but forever's gone away. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. I don't know where this road is going to lead. All I know is where we've been and what we have been through. If we get to see tomorrow, I hope it's worth all the wait. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll take with me the memories to be my sunshine after the rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
We have 2001 alumni and trumpet player and staff member Tim Foose is going to lead us in prayer.
Well, Dr. Kerr, even on the podium, I'm still not tall enough to see. There he is back there. Oh, I love you, Dr. Kerr. And back in, my time with Dr. Kerr started back in 1997. Well, really 95 when I started Liberty, but got fully plugged into the bands in 97. And we have some tremendous memories that maybe we'll share at some point, and some we probably won't ever share. But my time with Dr. Kerr and Mrs. Kerr was just simply amazing. And it was about the time when he was starting his legacy here as far as the bands were concerned. And it was really neat to see that Brianna was talking about his time going to UNC. I remember those days of him commuting after a day of work here back and forth. So it is an honor to be up here this afternoon in front of you all and to be asked to say this prayer. And just congratulations, Dr. Kerr. You've been a blessing in my life, to my family, not just me, as well as Mrs. Kerr. And it's an honor to be here today. Congratulations. Let's pray. God, I thank you for today, for a day to celebrate a career, to celebrate a man. And God, I thank you that you are so good to us. And for that, we are grateful. Lord, I thank you for the many years of investment from Dr. Kerr in educating people, and not just in education, but investing in people. And I'm one of those guys that stands here today, Father, as someone that he took time to invest in, and I'm grateful for that. Lord, I thank you for the commitment that he made, not just to a band program, but to something much greater, to the kingdom. And God, I'm grateful that he was kingdom-minded first. Lord, I'm thankful that Dr. Kerr was a man of perseverance and commitment to excellence. And Lord, is an example to us all in his endeavors. Lord, I thank you for Mrs. Kerr, for her commitment to encourage and support Dr. Kerr all along the way. And Lord, they have been steadfast in your love, and Mrs. Kerr has been steadfast in her encouragement of Dr. Kerr, and I'm grateful for that, for the example that they are as a married couple. Lord, I pray for them right now as they step into this next season of life, and maybe some things known and possibly some things unknown. But whatever it is, Lord, I know that they will continue to serve you with everything that they have and in all that they do. And God, we ask you today that you will bless their efforts. Father, thank you once again for a time just to celebrate a great man and his wife and a great career. Lord, I pray that you'll bless this food and our fellowship. God, may it be honoring and glorifying to you, Father. We love you. Bless our time together. It's in your name I pray. Amen.
Hello. Never mind. So, I'm actually not going to talk a whole lot this evening. My big job is to introduce you all to some people that you probably don't know, because there's like a vast different number of years of the band program represented in this room today. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot. I would like to ask real quick, just before we get started with all the people who have to talk tonight, if you're in the room right now and you are still currently involved in music in some way as a result of the band program and your time here, can you just raise your hand right now? Raise it real high and then look around. That in very small part, you can put your hands down, but that in very small part, and in no small part, I would say, is a little bit of a legacy that Dr. Kerr has left here for all of us. Not just that he's a fantastic family man and he's a wonderful image of how to be a godly husband and a godly wife, but also like in the fundamental thing that he did here at the university, he impressed a lot of people enough to keep them in this profession for a very long time. I am a band director. I teach Brookville Middle School, which is like a hop and a skip over there. But the first person that I want to introduce to you guys is actually also a band director, and I want to make sure I pronounce his name right. We talked a little bit beforehand. Eric Terlizzi. Did I say it right? It was pretty close, right? He's actually a band director at St. David's College Preparatory School in Raleigh. He was in the marching band from 1991 to 1994, and he plays trombone. So if you know anything about trombone, yeah, here he is right here. How do you guys, I have to tell some corny jokes. You guys know, if you've ever met Dr. Kerr, by the way, you know that telling corny band jokes is a really important part of any of these functions. So I got one real quick one since we're introducing a trombone player. How can you tell when you're at a playground if that's the child of a trombone player? Because they can't slide and they can't swing. Please give a warm round of applause to Eric
How's everybody doing today? I feel like a stand-up comedian. They make a lot more money than band directors do. So it's so great to be here, and it is a huge honor. I can't tell you. I thought that the band had been around longer, and so I thought, well, I'll cover this a little bit, and someone else will do this. And I realized that when I look at the list of the years, that when we started in the band as a freshman, that's pretty much, you had been here a year or maybe 2 years, you were also starting. I didn't realize that. So I don't have a lot to say because the memories are beginning to fade. And so
You're older than me.
This is an indictment on me, not on Dr. Kerr. The first caveat I want to say is I still slip and say Mr. Kerr all the time. And we just did it around here trying to fix it. The reason is because when you meet someone as a freshman, I was a freshman, and you meet them and they're Mr. Kerr, it sticks in your brain forever. And if you're not here for the transition to doctor, you don't. It's just not part of what you do. So I catch myself all the time saying Mr. Kerr. So I apologize, Dr. Kerr. You've earned it. And if I had a doctorate, I would make people call me doctor all the time. I make my students call me doctor just because they're all my students. But I just want to tell you a couple of memories I have. I came in 1991. Coming to Liberty was a big deal for my family financially and also theologically. They were scared I was going to become a Southern Baptist, which was way too free for them. They were still not believing in, they had a banner over the back that just said no at our church. So, hey, can I go? No. Okay, that's pretty much how it works. So, and Liberty at the time to them seemed very open and free, but my parents supported me because they knew I was a musician and wanted to go further. So I come as a senior in high school, 17 years old, and Mr. Kerr at the time was showing me around. And the music building was what it was. It was near here somewhere, I feel like, behind this building. And it was a single floor, or was it here? Oh, perfect. I just came full circle. Perfect. So I feel like I'm higher up than I was, though. Yeah. So I am being led around by Mr. Kerr, and he's showing me around, and he says, here's our, I think they called it concert band at the time, what is now the Wind Symphony or Wind Ensemble. So I hear the band playing, and I'm coming from a small private school. The band was terrible, and it sounded amazing to me, and I was so excited. And so he walks me in the room. I'm going to embarrass my wife really bad. I walk in the room, and he's standing there with me, and I'm all about trumpet players, believe it or not. I always want to know who's on first trumpet. I know you don't need to tell a trumpet player that because they're all about themselves. So, but low brass, do you have my back if they charge the stage? I hope. Okay. So we're on the side, and I said, well, who's the gentleman on first trumpet? At the time, I thought it was Jess Hopper. Is that right? And Mr. Kerr at the time goes, actually, it's the young lady beside him. And I was like, hello. And I was like, what is that? That's incredible. So I was like, I'm going to Liberty. Yep, going to Liberty. And so the rest is history. I married that beautiful young lady, and she's still with me today. Believe it or not, she is still with me. It's pretty incredible. So yes, I'm trying to get brownie points. So I knew nothing about marching band. I was never in a marching band. And it's incredible to think about what you did with people who never marched. I think maybe quite a few of us weren't from schools that had marching bands. I was clueless. I never played a valve instrument before. I was a slide trombonist. And you and Mr. Curry wrote on the board the valve combinations that went for the slide positions. I literally stood there and I went, are you kidding me? That's how it works? That's amazing. And so that has stayed with me forever. And I play, tuba and trumpet for my kids at school. And it's a very usable skill. But you were so patient. You were so kind. But the military precision with which Dr. Kerr does everything was just I had never seen anybody like that before. And I was really good friends with Larry and Mark and Carla and those guys. And we would hang around his office. Probably drove him crazy. But we'd hang around his office. And do you know what we discovered one day? That we said, Dr. Kerr, or Mr. Kerr, where's your phone book? Do you remember this? He pulls open his desk drawer, and it was under P for phone. And I was, this is the only man who files his phone book in a drawer. Desk was perfect. I mean, beautiful desk. And I have to tell you, you did not rub off on me in that way. My desk at school I have the artist desk. It's crazy. But Dr. Kerr, the room, if you look around the room, I don't have the authority to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. That is for the Lord to tell you. But I think we all can look around and see that it is very obvious that you have been a good and a faithful servant. And as a man of God, as a husband, as a father, as a mentor to many of us young men in band who maybe came from homes that the father was a different way of operating, you set the bar very high. And so as I have gone on in my life to be married for almost 28 years, have 3 kids, I think about you often because you're such a stable rock of a man who keeps everything under control, is just there for everyone. And I look around the room, I can't believe the number of people that are here. And I know many people would be here if they could. The last thing I want to say is, as I was driving up here, I had this thought, which is, there are no speeches, clearly mine would fall in this category. There are no speeches that could ever be written that could come close to the words and the people that are here. These are the words to your speech, are these living, breathing people. And if you look around the room, this is the most incredibly composed speech that none of us could compose ourselves. It's God who has composed this speech for you. And if you look around the room, it's just a beautiful testament and testimony to what God can do through us if we just keep our eyes on him and keep pressing towards the mark. And now you get to retire with this incredible group of people who honor and celebrate you. And there's nothing in the world that you could pay to have that happen. That is your investment that you paid for with your life. And Mrs. Kerr, you supported him all through it. We saw your marriage all the time. Through band, you see their marriage. It's an example to all of us. Most of us are not married. It was freshmen. And we saw that. And so that was an example, once again, on how to behave with a lady and how to have a marriage and how to walk with God with your wife. And so it's just an amazing thing. So you should be proud and know that we probably can't do this all the time, but this is a wonderful celebration for you. So please feel honored and respected and loved. I love you.
Next, we're going to hear from Jessica Beeman. She's a horn player from the class of 2003, and she's currently homeschooling her 2 beautiful children, 13 and 16. And so as she's coming up, I just, another corny band joke. Where is Jessica? I know I just talked to her just beforehand. Hey, okay, so as she's coming up right now, you may be wondering, what's the similarity between like a horn, like a French horn, and a baseball? And anyone that's heard this joke before, Dr. Kerr probably already knows the answer to this joke, but do you know? I'm really curious. I have to know. Do you know? What do you think? Will you give it a shot in front of everybody, or should I just give it to him? All right. Everybody cheers when you hit it with a bat. Please give a warm welcome to Jessica Beeman.
Well, he's a tough one to follow because I don't have any jokes. I'm sorry. But my name is Jessica Rates Beeman, and I am the wife of Brian Beeman, and then I have 2 children, Zach and Maddie, and they're 16 and 13 now. And I had the privilege to study under Dr. Kerr from the years of 1999, yes, I'm old, to 2003. He actually just transitioned in and was doing his commute to get his doctorate then. I was a music education major, and my instrument was the horn, not the French horn, as I was quickly corrected my very first year, but the horn. Because I was a music major, I had many classes with Dr. Kerr. And you have to remember, the school was much smaller back then. But I had the private lessons with him as well. One of my many memories of Dr. Kerr was a freshman student. I was having one of my first lessons with him, and I was terrified as he kept stopping me and correcting me. I was playing a practice piece. And finally he stopped me and said, "Jessica, do you trust me?" And I told him reluctantly, "Yes," but I didn't know what I was about to get into. And he told me he was going to change my embouchure completely, and that it would take me many, many weeks, even several months, to get used to it. But if I would just trust him, I would go from being a good player to a great one. And he was right. With much, much practice, things changed completely for the better. Many memories come to my mind as well. The band officers used to have a pool party every year, and I heard you do now, but it was a little bit different back then. We used to have some kind of skit with tons of fruit and vegetables involved, and we would get the freshmen to sit on the front so we could throw it at everybody. Then afterwards, we would get a watermelon and grease it, and we would all play and then eat the watermelon once it had been torn up. Yes, we were gross. There are countless memories of the wonderful tours we took, playing the New York Giants Stadium and staying with many families in their home. Dr. Kerr was my favorite, and is my favorite Liberty professor, who absolutely dedicated his life to music and the perfection of it. But that all stemmed from his desire to offer his best to his Savior and his love for his students. Dr. Kerr played such an important role in my life. He was more like a father figure to me and so many. I ended up getting very ill my last year at Liberty. Sorry. And he took it in stride, worked with me, and helped me in any way he could. Currently, I don't play music like I used to because of it, but he loved me anyway. His family is so precious to me as well. I got to help babysit his kids, and then his daughter Stephanie ended up babysitting mine down the road. So Dr. Kerr, it's with great joy and honor that I was able to speak about you and the wonderful memories that you and your family have given me. I truly wish you both the best. Thank you.
I have the great pleasure of introducing to you guys someone that I got to march with, a right-hearted fellow. He's one of my great friends in this activity. As he's coming up here, Luke Broswell. He's a tuba player from the class of 2011. How many of you know Luke or marched with him or marched right after him or before him? A lot of you? Yeah. And many of us, just Facebook friends in the group have been following Luke. He's a pilot, and he got his airline transport license about 6 years ago, and then last year in October, he got his dream job as the first officer for FedEx Express. So super huge, super cool and fun and exciting, and as he's coming up here, I would like to just ask a really obvious tuba question, which is there's two tubas sitting in a car. Who's driving? The police officer.
I'm very tall. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this short, but I'm not. It's going to be long. Back in 2006, I came to Liberty at Seafall, and I was just a senior high school and didn't know anything about Liberty. All I had was a short list of colleges. Had to have an aviation program, and they had to have a band program. So I went and saw the aviation program. Yep, they got airplanes, good enough. And then I said, now let's go check out the band program. And it was in the spring, so wind ensemble was going on. Met Dr. Kerr, and he goes, what do you play? I said, tuba. And he goes, all right, hang on. Goes to the back, gets out a tuba, and goes, here you go. And I'm like, sit down, go play. And I was like, what? I don't know any of this music, and I'm pretty sure I had a few tuba solos that day during the event, but it was good. I left. I remember telling my dad, I was like, this is it. Like, this is where I want to go to school. And I've never looked back since. It's been a great decision, and I gotta look at my notes. I took notes. This is crazy. Anyways. I was here for 8 years. I was here 4 years marching. Then I was a band photographer, came back and was the low brass tech for a couple years. And it's amazing to see how this program has grown. I mean, when I was here, it was Dr. Kerr and Dr. Super and Shelley Williams, and that was it. That was the only staff that we had, and 170-ish band members. And I don't know how many you have now. It's got to be over 200, 250. Wow. And techs and assistant directors, and just, it's amazing. 2009, he selected me to be vice president. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, the vice president's in charge of uniforms. Great. I think we had 10 extra uniforms that year, maybe. And we talking about squeezing people into uniforms, shouldn't have been in uniforms. But we made it work. And I mean, I remember sitting out in the hallway at game day, like people were in line doing inspection to go, hey, my button came off, or this came off, and I'm out there sewing buttons on uniforms and getting ready for rehearsal. So 2009, we got new uniforms. Finally, as the officers got to pick the new uniforms, and marched in the JMU downpour that we found out the red line on the helmets of the Shakos bled down into the white, and all kinds of problems with that. But I'm going to do some more fun memories through the years that I was here. Getting the new Yamaha tubas. The old Con tubas were, 25 years old at that time, and finally got those brand new, beautiful 4-valve, full-size Yamaha tubas. I remember unloading them off the truck that day. I mean, what a great moment that was. And then shortly thereafter, Stuart dropping the tuba, dotting the I. Crushed it, man. Just absolutely crushed that tuba. It was. I don't think I've ever cried as much as I did that day when I saw that tuba. It was. There was no saving that tuba. It was gone.
Couldn't get it back in the case.
No, yeah, the case wouldn't shut. It looked like one of those.
Horror movie.
Yeah, it's a horror movie. One of those trumpets that the bell points up at the sky. It was terrible. It wouldn't go back in the case. Freshman year, we got to play at my high school on Wind Ensemble tour. 2008 was the Myrtle Beach trip where we went to Ainer High School, Ainer, South Carolina. Played at that high school. Our whole band was bigger than the whole town of Ainer, South Carolina. We blew the stadium apart that night. It was awesome. KFC on the beach. Eating chicken on the beach, and we had a family one time that snuck into the line at KFC on the beach, and we're just getting chicken, and we're like, who are these people? They're like, we just thought you were giving out free chicken. Whatever, enjoy your chicken, have a good day. They got right in line. Good for them. Wind Ensemble, 2009, we went north to the land of rude people and no sweet tea. That was awful. Even the truck didn't want to go. The old Hino broke down finally around DC. It kept losing gears. I think it had maybe third and fifth gear by the time we got to DC. And so we got a rental truck. Then we went to Harlem in New York City, played at this beautiful church in Harlem in New York City. After the concert that night, we're loading the truck back up. Who shows up? NYPD, right? Cop cars everywhere. It was me, Calvin, David Chappell, a bunch of other truck crew guys against the wall. I'm serious. Like, what are you guys? Why are you stealing marimbas and timpani from this church? We're like, no, we played a concert here. And like, yeah, right. Who's in charge? And at the time, I was the president. I was like, I'm in charge. Yeah, right. Who's really in charge? So, calling the phone. Dr. Kerr finally shows up with a pastor, and they let us go. Well, the people on that street didn't like our truck taking up several parking spots, so the next day, the truck breaks down again. What happened? They put sugar in the tank of the truck. So that truck broke down again, so we were on the third truck that year. But it was all worth it because we got to hang out in New York City all day, then we went skiing up in Vermont. We had such a good time. Dr. Kerr fell asleep in the lodge up there, and we were all planning on leaving you sitting there because, I mean, he was just absolutely sawing logs, and we're like, let's all go, let's just sneak over to the corner and he'll never know. And Ashley, my wife, was like, absolutely not, we're not leaving him, he's going to wonder where we all went, so she wouldn't let us do it. That was a good time. All right, a couple more little things. Probably one of my favorite memories, though, is when Stephanie was a senior in high school. It was senior night. And Dr. Kerr's like, I've got to go to senior night, but the band was traveling to Coastal Carolina. This was 6 months before this game. Dr. Kerr said, Luke, you're a pilot. Could you fly me to Myrtle Beach? I was like, sure. I mean, why not? It's just Myrtle Beach, not that far. I've done it before. And so things get closer and closer. And the week before, we're tracking a hurricane off the Atlantic coast. Hurricane Sandy. Not a little hurricane either. It was Hurricane Sandy. Yeah, and so we're getting up to the day before, and I said, I don't know if this is going to work. And he goes, well, if it doesn't work, we'll just drive down. No big deal. See what you can do. So as soon as senior night's over, he drives to the airport, and it's like 10:30 at night. It's late. I mean, it's a high school football game on a Friday night. And we load up in this little Cessna 172, and me, Dr. Kerr, and Kevin Jones are just putting down towards Myrtle Beach. It actually wasn't that bad. It was a pretty smooth flight. We had a great line between the cells until probably the last 1,000 feet, and it got really turbulent. And I could tell Dr. Kerr was like, this is it. I'm going to die on this little plane over the Atlantic Ocean. So we finally touched down in Myrtle Beach, and it wasn't that bad of a landing. It was pretty good. And I'm still like in the landing, and Dr. Kerr's like, great job, like grabbing my shoulder. I'm like, we ain't done yet. We're rolling the runway. But we made it, and so we go to the game, and it's just pouring the rain, just absolutely getting drenched at Coastal. And I said, are you going to fly back? He goes, nope, I'm taking the bus. Ended up going back with some other aviation students who I'm lifelong friends with. It was a good decision on his part not to go back. Made some good friends after that. We got to perform with Wind Ensemble in downtown Disney, and then the marching band got to march down Main Street at Disney World. That was absolutely incredible. Probably one of my favorite memories, my wife proofread my speech, and this is not in there. So we started dating in 2008, and I mean, my wife is really beautiful, okay? And I am not. And so when she first started talking to me, I said, there's no way this girl's really interested in me. I said, am I being punked? Did somebody put you up to this? And I blew her off for weeks. Finally, one of her friends said, you better talk to her, she's gonna move on. So anyways, I think it was the Friday before the last game that year, we finally started dating, right? And this is the director's cut, behind the director's cut, music from the movies. We made the Batman symbol, right? Well, the color guard came right in front of the tubas there, and that game, the day after we started dating, she looked at me and smiled, because she's in color guard, she didn't play an instrument. And so, she does play an instrument, but she was in color guard. Anywho, she looks at me and smiled, and I forgot where I was going. You can pull up the tape. It's on the DVD. I am marching with my tuba. She smiles, and I just go. I broke formation, marching off into oblivion. People were yelling, Luke, and I turn around, run back to my spot. It was awful. But we've been married now for coming on 12 years, got 3 beautiful children. And like everybody else has said, just watching your example of you and Martha, that's my son. You and Martha, and just watching you guys through all the years, especially towards the end when you got to go on tour with us a couple of times, and just to see your godly marriage and your relationship with each other has really influenced our relationship and our crazy children. Let's see. I know that there are many other families. I saw the spreadsheet I think that Martha had made over there of all the band students that have gotten married. Have you not seen this, Dr. Kerr? She's been doing this behind your back. She's got a spreadsheet of who's married who, are they, how many kids they have, when they got engaged, and it's a lot. There are a lot of people in this band that are not here, that are watching online, that are together because of this program, because of you and because of Martha and your mentorship and your guidance to, frankly, a bunch of kids who grew up to be wonderful people because of you. And I just can't say enough, can't thank you enough for all that you've given me and my family and all the families that are here today, showing their love and support and respect for you. So thank you for all you've done. Thank you everybody for coming. And we love you. Enjoy your retirement.
So, the next person I want to introduce to you guys is much more recent. He's right in here somewhere. Trevor Musser. Where's this guy? All right, Trevor. So, Trevor is, I think, primarily a pianist, right? That was your senior recital, but as good a percussionist as any. We're in the community band here, actually, locally together. And he's killing it on Tiffany. He's doing a great job. He is currently the band director at William Campbell, out that direction. Hop and skip that way. So anyway, Trevor Musser is much more recent. Most of us in the, how many of you know Trevor? Okay. So anyway, most of you guys know Trevor. He doesn't really need much of an introduction, but I would just ask as he's on his way. Trevor, hold on, wait, right here. Yeah. You probably know this one because it's a pretty common piano joke. What do you call a laughing piano?
Oh, I know this one. Do you want me to say it?
Yes, I do.
It's a Yamaha.
Round of applause for Trevor.
As he said, my name is Trevor Musser. I was here starting in 2017, and I just graduated last year in 2021. And I am running my own band now, which is fun. And obviously, a lot of that has come from influence from Dr. Kerr. I've learned a lot that I'm applying now. So as I thought about what I want to say, I do so much, but I like creative ways to say it. And I was thinking about cookies, and then I was thinking about the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, like the children's book. All right, so that's kind of how I'm telling my story of like my time in band and meeting Dr. Kerr. So the story begins with me being in high school and not yet knowing where I'm going to college. And actually the people that spoke before had the same thing, where you met with Dr. Kerr beforehand. So that's kind of some background. But my story is called If You Give a Man a Band. Okay. All right, so if you give a man a band, if you give a man a band, he will want that band to grow. To help the band grow, he will set up appointments to meet with people like me who are unsure which college to attend. He'll tell you his name is Dr. Kerr and that he has a wonderful band that he wants you to be a part of. He'll tell you it's just the coolest thing. And you will agree to join because he's just so nice and just so convincing. He will insist that you join a marching band. Now, he will make you cut your hair that's way too long because it doesn't match the rules of the handbook. But you don't mind because all that hair was getting heavy anyway.
His was long and curly.
Yeah, it looks better this time. I know, you're right. All right. When he finally gets you to show up to band camp, he will have someone take a picture of you that you will never see. You'll wonder why. You will later find out that he used it just to study and learn your name. He cares about you like that, and you won't forget it. If you give a man a band, he will make you spend hours in the hot sun at this thing called band camp. Yeah. At band camp, he will make sure that you show up to required fun events. And sure enough, these events will help you make some of the best friends that you ever had, and make your stomach hurt after he encourages you to take part in the belly flop competition. If you give a man a band, he will also challenge his members. He will challenge you to grow in your faith and in your excellence as a musician. You'll improve so much that you just can't help but feel good about yourself and want to share that same feeling with those around you. And when you get hooked on this feeling that band gives you, you'll want to join a wind symphony. If you give a man a wind symphony, he will want to show it off, so he will hand you some of the hardest music you've ever seen and expect you to perform it over a dozen times on Wind Symphony tour in just a couple months. But you don't worry, because he always has a plan, and he will record, study, and guide the group until the music is ready. When you go on Wind Symphony tour, you'll act like a fool. You'll raise your cymbal stands up to 10 feet in the air, and you'll jump in the pool with your jeans on, just relax. But Dr. Kerr will be having fun right alongside you. You will come to realize that the tour wasn't just to show off the group, but to provide wonderful and lasting memories for all the musicians and audience members. If you give a man a band, he will have to deal with your mistakes. Sleeping through a final business meeting after pulling all nighter on paper. Dropping the expensive glass wind chimes. So I'm so sorry about that one. And forgetting important moves during a halftime show. Just to name a few. But when you make mistakes, he will show you grace. He'll be firm in his expectations, but he will show you grace. And when you're finally nearing graduation, you'll have a senior recital and commencement and all sorts of exciting things. And Dr. Kerr will be there in the audience, cheering you on and helping you through the next steps you're going to take. See, when you give a man a hand, he will not always be there for his students. When you graduate, you'll miss it all. You'll realize that your time in the band helped you become not only a better musician, but a better Christ follower and an overall better person. And when you're asked to stand on a stage and explain just how much this band charge meant to you, you'll have no trouble thinking of the right words to say. And when you graduate and get hired right away as band director, you'll be given your own band, and you'll be better because of the investment that Dr. Kerr made in your life. And he'll still answer your calls and your emails and give you everything he can to help you. And you'll get to thank him publicly for that. So thank you, Dr. Kerr.
This is completely random, but let's all just appreciate the man who has consistently for oh my gosh, at least 25 years now, had the best and most carefully curated facial hair in this room right now, Dr. Stephen Kerr. So we do have one more person to go. I don't have a big long speech or anything, but I did want to just mention a couple details. Dr. Kerr, for me personally, has always been the epitome of efficiency and organization and organization and organization and organization. And I just wanted to share very briefly the two things. The first experience I ever had with Dr. Kerr, I mean, we knew each other because my dad, and Thomas Road, and for a long time. So I was aware of your existence. But then the first time I knew, I was I'm going to Liberty. I'm going to be under Dr. Kerr. And I went up, and Dr. Kerr was up there talking to somebody important, right at the front of the church. And so I walk up there, little old me, high school me, and I'm like, I know that he's talking to somebody, and the second he gets out of that conversation, I just get up just enough nerve to, actually at that time I said, Mr. Kerr, and he didn't turn around. And his son, Michael, was right next to him, and it wasn't, to be fair, I didn't say it very loud, but your son was right next to you, and as a wonderful son, a very honorable son, Michael turns immediately around and goes, Dr. Kerr. And I was mortified. You guys, I had just ruined my entire college career. It It was the end for me. Guys, I didn't even tap. I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, never mind. And I just ran. I ran. And I still don't know that he knows that happened, but that was the whole situation. And then there was the day where I learned that he is the most organized man ever. And that was, I think it was Mitt Romney. Somebody really important was at Baccalaureate, and the Wind Symphony was playing. We typically, just play some stuff up at the front. And it was somebody important I know, because FBI was there with bomb dogs, and they were sniffing everything. And we knew that they were coming in at a particular time, but didn't know when. And the Wind Symphony had been told we were going to go grab pizza in like this little under the tunnel area or whatever. And somebody comes down, like a bunch of uniformed officers are coming down. And they're like, "Hey, we need everybody out of here right now. Like, FBI is coming in with these bomb dogs." And Dr. Kerr was like, "No." And we all watched him. We watched him have a discussion with this police officer at a fortissimo dynamic, and we're all just like trying to set up chairs and get everything ready and try and figure out what's going on. And at that, the moment I knew is when, if anybody else was in this band, you can vouch for this, but the moment I knew is when the police officer was just not having it. He was not getting it. He didn't understand the schedule of the evening, and we could see there are dogs, they're coming down that back thing and the thing, we are not supposed to be in here. And Dr. Kerr just turns around and it's just like, "Everyone!" And then he just points where the pizza is supposed to go, because that's where we're supposed to be going, and we are not leaving. And he literally just turns around and just calls the will of the Lord down. "This is the direction we are going." Police officer right behind him on his walkie-talkie, the blah, blah, blah. This is not supposed to be happening. And we're all just like, "Okay." And we just went. And that to me was a testament of wow, this man I've never, a second in my life, thought to myself, wow, he's not very organized right now. Every single moment that I have ever been around Dr. Kerr, he has been a testament to you need to be prepared for everything at all the time. And that has bled into and I know many of you all around the room as well, how you approach your lives and your current jobs and everything that you do. So I don't want to take too much time, because we have way cooler people than me to speak. But the last one I want to introduce is a huge fan in the room, because we have a lot of the youngins here. Cassidy Miller, who's right nearby. There we go. Clarinet primary. She's going to be working full-time at Parkway Church and Roanoke Ministry as a ministry associate right here after graduation. But as a clarinet primary, I do think that it's pretty appropriate to share this one. How do you guys know when your pet sitter is a clarinet player? Because they don't know where to enter, and they never know what key to use. Please give a warm round of applause to Cassie Miller.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for making me laugh, because Trevor made me cry, so I needed that. Hello, everyone. My name is Cassidy Miller. I'm a senior this year, studying religion and music at Liberty. This past fall, I had the privilege of serving as the head field commander of the Spirit of the Mountain, and I'm very honored to just share a few words with you today about Dr. Kerr and his influence on my life. Coming in as a freshman, the first thing that I noticed about him was how much the band respected him. He was always watching, even when I didn't think that he was. He remembers little things that I didn't expect someone who has so many things to remember. He was always excited to see me. I was never a bother to him. He always made time to listen to me, even if I felt like what I had to say was not worth his time. I think one of my favorite qualities about Dr. Kerr is his ability to listen to me and give me biblical, sound advice. As a field commander, there have been many times where the pressure is on and the situation is tense, and I can always count on Dr. Kerr to know what to do next. But my favorite times weren't the times when he told me what to do next, but when he stopped and he gave me a chance to make a call. So thank you for doing that. Unlike many people who have already stood up here and talked, I am not going into music as my full-time profession. I'm going to be working in local church ministry, as Josh said, which is really cool. But I can truly say that Dr. Kerr has taught me as much about the Lord and working in his kingdom as he has about music. Sorry. So I just wanted to, sorry, this part, now I'm not crying, sorry. I wanted to look up what qualities make a good man, because I find myself often saying, Dr. Kerr is just such a good man. So I just Googled what qualities make a good man. Don't worry, they're all fine. I'm just going to read them in the list. Honesty, self-confidence, kindness, intelligence, loyalty, integrity, generosity, supportiveness, leadership, compassion, and humility. Everyone in this room is a fan of Dr. Kerr, so this isn't a pitch to convince you of who he is or what he's done. This is just me saying, how blessed are we to all be in a room appreciating the authenticity that we have experienced from this man. Dr. Kerr, thank you for believing in me, for mentoring me, for guiding me, for pushing me, for supporting me. Thank you for teaching me to not take no for an answer. Thank you for being the hands and feet of Jesus. Sorry, I can't read my notes. You have taught me more than marching band can show for. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you relax, from a distance, of course. And Mama Kerr, you have been such a blessing to us all. I hope and pray that I can hug people as well as you do for the rest of my life. Thank you for showing us kindness and intentionality. We love you both very much.
Ashley Braswell, who is Luke's wife that he talks so fondly about, is going to help me with this. And I'd also like to ask Dr. Kerr to come up here, please. So we have a few gifts that we would like to present you with. And I'm going to let Ashley start.
Okay. Yeah, here we go. So the first gift that we have for you is this book full of memories, letters, pictures, signatures from so many people, and Kelsey actually put this together for you. Wow. So everyone just filled it in, and this is yours to keep, and you are going to need more than a box of tissues to go through that one.
Thank you.
And then well, it was everyone, so it was everyone. And then we also have, okay, so this one, I worked under you for 2 years? 2 years? I was a staff assistant, and you definitely instilled organization in me in a lot of ways. But I did not order this in time for it to come through. So this is coming, but what we've ordered is a watercolor print of the photo that you so graciously gave to me on the Spirit of the Mountain alumni page. Yes. That I was on the search for. And it's framed, and if you haven't signed it, I'm going to stick it back over here in a moment. But this is going to be signed from everyone here, and then it's going to be framed as well. We'll make sure you get that in just like a week or two. So that's it's going to be quite large. Martha, I hope we can fit it in the house somewhere, okay? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I love you too.
So the next thing I have for you is a card with all of the names of everyone who donated or pitched in to help make this event happen. Everybody that I asked, hey, can you do this? Everyone was like, yes, absolutely. And a lot of people even contacted me and said, hey, I know you're planning this event. What can I do to help you? And everybody, there was almost too many people that wanted to help that I was like, I don't know what else we need to have done. But we have so many people that helped and pitched in. And like I said, the donations paid for this whole party, but we also have a check for $1,400. That was what we had left over after we paid for the celebration. So I have that for you.
Thank you.
You can't go yet. So the next part in the program, we actually built in a little bit of time if you would like to say anything.
Oh, man.
I did ask your wife. I said, do you think he would want to say something? And she said, I think so. So
okay.
If you don't want to say anything, you don't have to.
I'll be happy
but
to say, yeah.
This is the time that we...
Wow, thank you.
Truly overwhelmed. No idea what you guys did. And, I went to Mark's recital, had a great time, and we're walking down the building, and I said, oh, look at down there. Somebody's got a limo. Martha says nothing. Oh, yeah. So we get down there, and there's this red carpet, and it says, Dr. Stephen Kerr, on this placard. And yeah, so we tour the campus, and there is a voiceover of much of our music and some other things about the things that you guys have been involved in, and many of you guys wrote in, I think, in a compilation of the narration. Just wonderful, very, very meaningful as we drove around campus And so many of the things, I come to work, and I'm working before my feet even touch the ground in the parking garage usually, and I got my blinders on, and it's like, go to work, get your stuff done. Just like Josh said, organization is everything. I've got my day planned out. I know what I want to do. It's all on my calendar, and I'm going to go to it. But it was wonderful just to drive around campus and just experience like a visitor, and listening to the narration from what you guys had said. Just wonderful. The Lord has truly blessed, and I have no idea why He chose me.
Love you, Dr. Kerr.
If I could have ever selected a dream job, it's this one. If I could have ever just determined about getting to know you guys and work with you guys, it would be you, each one of you. And as I look around the room and I see you, I call you my friends. We worked up hard together. Hang on a second. Oh, okay. We work very hard together. I know I push you, I'm really demanding sometimes. You got to play it this way. You got to do it just right. Get that in tune. Or if it's on the marching band field, make sure that you step off right and guide to the form, and all those things, and you do it, and then you come back and you thank me for putting you through all that stuff. And there are so many wonderful memories. And Martha and I were just thinking, or I was recounting to her the other day, and even some today, that, the things that I've gotten, or have had a chance to do, that the Lord has allowed me to do, way back when I came in the fall of 1990, and the band director at that time is Ray Losey, and he says, hey, why don't you come on over here and be our assistant director? I was like, what? Well, that sounds really cool. And I started as a staff member, and then got my master's degree out of Virginia Tech and moved right into faculty position, and started teaching brass and doing all the assistant band director things that several of you guys have done who are in the room now. So thank you for being here and supporting. But then in January of 2000, I was asked to be director of bands. And it was a dream come true, and we had work to do. And some of you old timers, we had work to do. And there were times in the past where I looked around, and we had here at the university what we called Red Fridays, and the school had no money to pay its faculty. And I couldn't believe that I'm still here, because people who were way more qualified than me to stay in the School of Music, at that time was Department of Music and Fine Arts, they were let go, and I still had a job, just little me. And then the Lord gave me the opportunity to be director of bands. And at that time there was a lot of things that had to be done, and I did the Spirit Band, and I did chamber brass, and I did the brass quintet, and I did the marching band, and it was called concert band then. Seems like there was another group, but I was a pretty busy guy, and Martha knows how busy I was. There came a point where going to all the football games and all the time that it takes in order to make that happen, then it dovetailed right into basketball season, and so to do all of the men's and women's home games, it began to be a lot. And I had a young family, and Stephanie's right out here. She knows I was gone a lot. And Stephanie and Michael would come to see me at the basketball games in the Vine Center. And they had a blast. They would run around the concourse, and they would come down every once in a while and come see me on the stage, and they'd run around the concourse some more. And they were just little guys, but we got to spend a little bit of time together. And then the field commanders graciously acquiesced to my request that they begin to conduct the Spirit Band. And so some of those responsibilities allowed me to have a bit more time with my family. But then to watch the growth of the Wind Symphony and the maturity of that group. How many of you guys have been to a concert this spring of the Wind Symphony? Phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can't wait to say to the next guy or gal, whoever is going to be the director of the Wind Symphony, congratulations, here are the keys to your brand new Ferrari. They really play well. They really play well. And the marching band, you know, we have been capped at 250 people. We would easily be, you know, that big, hairy, audacious goal of 300 right now. I mean, we have like, in advance of the fall right now, there are 5 spots remaining. That's it. And there's about, I don't know, 15 people who are in the process of trying to get those last 5 spots. It's been that way for the last few years. And, you know, the shows that we do are contemporary and they're entertaining. And what brings me great satisfaction is watching the crowd. You guys don't know because you're performing. I turn around and I watch the crowd sometimes and I look for a reaction when I know that there's something that I'm hoping that they would react for. And they are. And they stand and they sing and they put their phones up and they go like this, you know, with the light on. One of my most spectacular memories is when we did Behind the Mask. And this is the second time that we did Batman, the theme from Batman. And it was one of those things which is really unexpected. And I wrote the drill so that that particular part of the show was going to be a little bit later, so it would have the impact that I wanted. And it was 4 steps away from the bat going from a dissolve into the bat. Well, we played it for the home side on the first game. How many were there for Behind the Mask? Well, the students, you could hear them on the student side just kind of go, oh. Next weekend, we played it to the student side. When we played it to the student side, they were looking for it. And when it hit there, they cheered, and I looked at the student side, and they all had their smartphones out, and there were flashes that coming from the entire side. They were anticipating that, and they were so impressed by you, and they so loved you that they wanted to capture that moment. And to me, that's what our goal is. Too, obviously, you know, there's so many other things that we're doing, but the students here at Liberty love you. And they didn't always love you. There were times where, you know, they made fun of us. And those were hard days. But to see that process and to see you guys turn the corner on that to where the student body respects you, they're your friends, you go to cafeteria with them, you're in English class with them, and then they cheer you on while you are performing for them at halftime. That's a phenomenal thing. And so, close to my heart is the marching band and the membership of the marching band and the Wind Symphony and the membership of the Wind Symphony. And this has been the last several years. Some people ask me, what's your favorite year? Which is the best? And I don't have an answer. I was just telling conducting class in our final class on Tuesday, I don't have an answer for that. We've enjoyed getting to that point in the program where it is the most difficult decision is what is the program going to be like? What's the theme going to be like? Because I know that you are going to be fabulous. And you play extremely well, both in the Wind Symphony and in the marching band. And it's a joy to me to be able to go ahead and hand over the keys to the Ferrari to whoever it is while you know, we're really revving at 13,000 RPMs. I mean, it's really going well. And so I'm very thankful to the Lord for picking me and allowing me to have this fabulous ride together. And you guys, what a surprise. And I've been able to hug many of you guys today, and I hope that others that I haven't had a chance to hug on your neck a little bit, that you'll stick around a little bit. But thank you so much. This is just such an unexpected honor, and I just so appreciate it, and I love you. So thank you very much.
Anyone who has attended Liberty University in recent years knows and loves Dr. David Wheeler. Besides being an amazing professor of evangelism, he has also been a huge supporter of the band program for many years. He has led many devotions on game days, served as the guest speaker on Band Parents Day, and has even conducted the fight song for pregame a few times. I asked him to prepare a special retirement blessing for Dr. Kerr as he and Martha embark on this new journey together. So, Dr. David Wheeler.
Well, Steve, I love you, buddy. There's not many people I'll give up my afternoon nap for, okay? I'm just being honest with you. Sunday afternoon, that is a holy time in my family. And by the way, I just thought it was so funny. I was sitting back there with Tim Fuss a minute ago when they opened up the door. And, I mean, both he and I are so short we couldn't see who was walking in. So it kind of reminded us, think about this. Go back to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 6 says, "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout and the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise." And so we stood up to see who was there. We thought God was coming. It was Steve Kerr, yeah. Steve, we were hoping it was maybe time for us. I don't know. But anyway, Steve, we do love you a great deal, man. As I was walking through this, I just want to give you a couple things to think about. First of all, I want to remind you that retirement is unbiblical. Just a thought, man, just a thought. You know, of all the guys on campus, Steve, it is so interesting. I can't even play Spotify well, okay? And the fact that you and I have been such close friends for so many years, that's just God doing that. And I appreciate you so much. And I think part of that is because I tell my students all the time, you're not going to agree with everything I say, but you're never going to have a day in my class you're not loved. You know, we've tried to do that. And I think that's true with you. I think you love, and I've seen that because I've worked with so many of the band students that you've loved and you've loved well. You and your wife both have done that. I've loved well. You know, I got to looking at different people that left, I think, a little bit too early. Some people that some of the folks won't know here, but you'll know. Jim Brown, he left only at 9 years. You know, but yet with 12,000 yards of rushing. Barry Sanders left at 10 years, 15,000 yards. By the way, had he stayed, he would have broken Walter Payton's record that year, but yet he walked away early. John Madden left after only 10 years after winning the Super Bowl in 1977, walked away in 1979, and never once again coached again. He started doing, of course, you know, announcing and great commercials, those beer commercials in the 1980s. If you start doing beer commercials, I'm going to hit you, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not your next life. I'm just telling you, that is not your call, okay? But, I mean, you know, Madden had a great game, so anyway. And then I thought about Jerry Seinfeld, you know. I mean, from 1989 to 1998, he had the number one show all those years. And then he walked away and nothing. Of course, he had $230 million when he walked away. I've been thinking, maybe, can I get a loan? I'm just wondering. Anyway, I thought about Bible characters, you know, that I could talk about. Enoch was one of those. He lived to be 365 years, which would mean that you got 300 more years to live. You know, he was only one of two men who never died, along with Elijah, that God, the Bible tells us that he walked with God and was no more, for God took him. Joseph was one of those too. You know, he lived to be 110 years old, so you still got a ways there too as well. Genesis 50:20 says, "But for you meant evil against me, but God meant for good, in order to bring it to this day." I mean, Joseph is one of the only biblical characters of which there's nothing negative ever said. Now think about the integrity of who you are and how you've stood up over all these years and what God's done through your life. And then I came to John the Baptist, and I thought, man, you really kind of like that. I mean, I love what he says. It says he was preaching. And it tells us in Mark chapter 1, it says he was preaching, John the Baptist was, "Someone more powerful than I will come after me. I'm not worthy to stoop down and untie the strap of his sandals." You and I have had those conversations many times. We both feel like that we're preparing for a greater day to come that we may never see. You know, but yet God's got in front of us, because it's not about looking back and remembering and thinking that we're all that. It's the fact that we get to be a part of the process that brings that which is Jesus, his glory. There's only two reasons why we exist, and that's to glorify God and to make his name known. And you've done well at both of those.
John chapter 3, I love this because John the Baptist, he simply says, at the very end, verse 30, he says, he must increase, but I must decrease. You need to understand three things, Steve. Like John, you've carried the ball well. That is, your calling well for all these years. I think John the Baptist did exactly what he was called to do. Now, I hope that they don't deliver your head on a platter one day, okay? But I think you did that very well. I think you've got many years where you're not through pouring into students. You're not through pouring into lives. I think that God's going to open up doors for you to do other things because, you're just good at that. To get to know all your students' names, to love them all these years, to walk with them when they're hurting, to be there. You're not going to walk away from all of that and simply say, well, I'm done, because that's part of who you are. You can't walk away from all that. You can't. You carried the ball well. It is time. We talked about this the other day at the School of Music. You feel like it is time that someone else take that ball for a while. But I promise you'll be sitting in the stands to be the number one fan. How about this? Like John, it was never about you. But yet look around you at the great legacy you have. There are literally thousands of other students who could fill this room today and say, thank you, Steve. Thank you for you touched my life in ways you never realized you touched my life. When I came here, having never gone to Liberty University, not knowing anything about that, like I said, the closest I ever got to the band was marrying the band's president from high school. That was it. And getting to know you over these years and welcoming me after you being here 30-something years and all that kind of stuff and the friendship that God built out of all that. I just appreciate that. I appreciate real people. I love people who don't want to put on some kind of a facade, but they're real in front of you. Conversations that we've had about spiritual matters. That's such a cool thing to me. Yes, you are organized. I agree with that. You have to be, though, when you deal with what you're dealing with. But at the same time, that organization does not overcome the organism that you are, which is what Jesus created you to be. Which is, I think the heartbeat of that is that you love not only what you do, like I love what I do. Someone asked me today, how much longer are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm 61. I want to go to 70. I'd like to go to 80. If I can go to 90, I'll do it. They probably won't let me do that. But I love doing what I get to do every single day. You've not worked a day in your life for 30-something years. I know you feel worn out when you go home, feel like you've worked, but you're really not. Because when you get up, it's something you love to do. Think about that again. I will repeat that. He says, it was never about you. He must increase, but I must decrease. And finally, like John, your reward's going to be in heaven. It says in Matthew chapter 11, it says, I assure you, among those born of women, no one was greater than John the Baptist as ever appears what Jesus said. I'm reminded, when Jesus talks about he gave out the talents, it was then when the one who multiplied his talents that he finally says to him, well done, my good and faithful servant, for you've taken what I've given you. And, I came here in 2006. I don't remember the days, those Red Fridays. I don't remember those days when nobody was getting paid. But I'm amazed and very thankful for those people who stayed here, or I can promise you this place would not be here. And you were one of those who kept your hand on the plow and you trusted God over reason. You trusted God over everything else. And I know there was someone probably somewhere, maybe a family member somewhere, I don't know, someone saying, Steve, you're not getting paid, man. Come on. And you're like, but I know this is where God wants me. And you trusted God through all of that. And because of that, you can honestly hear from Jesus, well done, my good and faithful servant. Dude, I love you. I really do. I appreciate your heart. I appreciate just the man that you are. I appreciate your wife. I appreciate just the way in which you poured yourself in here. I will tell you what I told my mentor about a week before he died. I told Dr. Roy Fish, I said, Roy, you will never die as long as we continue to pass on what you gave us. Look around you. You will never die. Because there will be generations, there will be grandkids playing instruments in a way in which you taught them, in a better way because you poured into them. And that music will never die. Steve, thank you so much. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your investment in me as a friend and being that friend to me. Thank you for welcoming me in as an outsider. Just thank you. I love you, buddy. I do. Let me pray for y'all right now. Father, in Jesus' name, we come before you today and we just thank you so much. Father, first off, we thank you for Jesus, because we would not be here had you not died on the cross for us and resurrected, had you not been willing to pay the ultimate price for our sin. For God, this is not about us. Like John, he could not even take the sandals off of Jesus. He could not do anything. We are just precursors. We are just messengers of the greatest message of all, which is the gospel. Whether it comes through a band, through a Bible study, through an evangelism class, or through a song, or whatever it might be. Father, it is the gospel that we live for. It is Jesus that we praise. Father, I thank you for Steve. I thank you for the calling upon him and his family. I thank you that you've held him up for all these years and you've given him strength to walk. And Father, in those days when he was exhausted, Father, there was a higher calling that carried him. Thank you for that. And God, as he retires, he doesn't really retire. He's just opening another door to be able to have other influence, maybe even larger influence. That's what I would pray. I would pray that the last third of Steve's life, Father, would be even more influential than the first 2/3. I pray, God, that you would touch him in ways that he's never even experienced. Father, I pray you'll just use him. Because, God, you've used him over these years. It's evident when we see the students, when we hear the stories. Father, I thank you. I thank you for Steve. I thank you for his friendship. I thank you for his love. And God, we just lay this man, his family before you, Father. And Lord, I just pray that your hand will stay upon them and bless them. Father, I pray for every family represented here today that as we leave this place, we would not leave thinking about a man, but we would leave here thinking about how we could make your name known, how that we could glorify you, how we could take our gifts and abilities, Father, and take the gospel to a desperate world that needs you. So, Father, fill us with your Spirit. Walk with us now. In Jesus' name we pray, and all God's people said, amen. Thank you, Steve.
This event here, celebrating Dr. Kerr's fantastic legacy here, took quite a bit of planning. And so as she comes up, I just think it would be appropriate for all of us, because she already did tell me to do this, and she's mad that I'm doing it because she's like, we should be over a minute ago. But as she comes up, if you guys could just appreciate the hours and hours and hours of work that it took to blow up these balloons and figure out where this was going to be and all of this, if you could please give your thanks to Brianna.
Thank you. So we have one more surprise planned for our guest of honor tonight to close out our time together. And for this part of the evening, you are going to need one of these little cards, or some of you may not need one of these cards, but if you are not a recent grad, you might need one of these cards. These are also yours to take with you when you leave. If you're seated at a table, they should be one in front of you. If you're not seated at a table, there's stacks on the taller tables. For the last 10 years or so, it has been a Spirit of the Mountain tradition to play this song before each football game. Sorry, I thought I was going to make it. During the warm-up time at the back of the Hancock Welcome Center, it has been a song that has bonded all of us during exciting times, hard times of loss, and now even during bittersweet goodbyes. The first time through is only instrumental, and I invite you all to join us as we use the lyrics on the cards to sing a cappella during the second time through, and to close this special chapter of Liberty University Band Program.